12th में पूरे साल थ्रू आउट ईयर हमने इतनी मेहनत करी है, उसको 40 करा है आपने, थोड़ा ज़्यादा कर सकते थे तो वो थोड़ा बेटर होता।
डिसीजन तो सही लिया होगा उनने अपने हिसाब से।
नहीं सर, हम इससे सेटिस्फाई नहीं है, क्योंकि सर हम प्री बोर्ड को इतने सीरियसली नहीं लेते।
बच्चों ने बड़ा मेहनत करी थी और बहुत बच्चों में जज्बा था कि वो इससे अच्छा रिजल्ट देते।
अब सरकार की जो मान्यताएं हैं, जो उन्होंने डिसीजन लिया है, उसको एक्सेप्टेंस मिलेगी।
उनके 30% लिए हैं, उनको कम लिया जाए।
Hello everyone, you're watching News Epicenter with me, Maria Shakil, in what clearly is a much needed clarity for millions of students across the nation. The Apex Court has given the nod to the CBSE's new formula to evaluate Class 12 students. Under the new formula, students will be assessed based on their combined performance in classes 10th, 11th and 12th. Evaluation of their class 10th performance will be based on the average of the best of 3 subjects. 30% weightage will be given to that. For class 11th, the average of the unit, term and final exams will be given an overall weightage of 30%. The students' performance in class 12th, unit and term exams as well as practicals will be given 40% weightage. Now, each school will have to form a 5-member result committee which will be headed by the principal. They will present their evaluation to the CBSE panel. The final results will be announced then by July 31st. Now, mixed reactions are coming in over this new formula. Primarily, students are voicing their concerns over the inclusion of class 10th exams, saying classes 11th and 12th are focused streams and they should not be mixed, in fact, with class 10th results. Others say that the final results should be purely based on pre-board results, as students put in a lot of preparations for class 12th assessments. On the other hand, students and teachers supporting this new criteria say the formula gives an overall picture of the students' academic credentials. But the big question remains, how will this impact the critical college admission process? Does this offer a level playing field to students seeking admission into central universities? How does this affect the competitive admissions processes for foreign universities? And have assessments over the past 1 year for all students been fair and equal? And lastly, is this formula a step in the right direction to assess the overall academic aptitude of students for higher studies? I have all the students and teachers panel this evening. Dr. C.B. Sharma is the professor at the School of Education, IGNOU. He is the former chairperson of NIOS. We will be joined by headmaster of the Doon School in Dehradun. We also have on the show Priya. She is a class 12 student from Jorat in Assam. Ritika, class 12 CBSE board student from Mumbai. We also have other students like Praniti, Shreya and others who will be joining me in just a bit. I can see some students here. Let me begin with you, Ritika. Ritika, what are your primary concerns?
Ma'am, first of all, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. And now I would like to share my point of view regarding the same, that is the 12th objective criteria. Ma'am, I welcome this decision, of course, because this is an out-of-the-box solution which was never used before, of course, and it's very hard to satisfy 100% students with it. But now, if we look at it, ma'am, we see that 11th and 12th, considering the marks of 11th and 12th is absolutely fair, because 11th was offline and 12th, yeah, of course, because we are in 12th standard marks has to be considered. But I don't understand the logic of considering the 10th standard marks, because there are many students who change their boards as well. Yes. They move from ICSE to CBSE. There are many students who change their streams as well. Why would someone want, if someone has taken commerce later on, why would they want themselves to be assessed on the basis of their science marks? and it's like mixing up two boards at this point of time. So that is ICSE board results is basically going to affect the CBSE board results, wherein the evaluating criteria and the syllabus is absolutely different. So I don't agree with the 10 standard marks giving with 30% of weightage.
Since you're talking about the change of subject also that happens from class 11th to 12th, and we are also have multiple examples, Dr. Sharma, I'm going to come to you in just a bit. Let me get another comment from another student. There are students who have passed from one board in class 10th and they are in another board in class 12th. So how will that assessment happen? Let me get a word also from Priya. Priya, what are your reservations? Are you happy with the formula?
My viewpoint in this matter is, first, as the government cancelled the board exam, it's a warm decision as it has reduced a big turmoil to happen so far. Now the second thing is students have to be awarded marks. For that, the criteria that CBSE has decided today is, I think, a standardized criteria, but it has this credibility with as our 10th results are also being considered, and best of 3 results are going to be considered of it. So I don't think so a lot of the students are going to be disadvantaged with it. But the 11th standard marks, I want to speak with it. There are 2 concerns I have, and I want to share it. The first one being last year as well, due to the first wave of the COVID outbreak, most of the schools have cancelled their final 11th and 9th grade exams, and students were being promoted. In that case, how the 11th final grades are going to be considered. And the second concern I have is mainly for the science stream students. Most of the students opt for competitive exams. Most of them take admission to dummy schools for where the 11th grade exams doesn't count a lot. And also, as we
going
are
by that
need to
logic,
prepare for
Priya,
the competitive
most
exams,
of these competitive exams are competitive exams. So you need to take those exams for admission into higher studies. So you should not be really bothered about your results of class 12 then.
ma'am, we don't take the 11th that seriously. So 30% may reduce some of the deserving students' marks as well, the overall marks.
No, but since you are from science stream, for your, say, if you'll be going for engineering or your MBBS, then that is through an entrance examination. How does this matter? Priya, how does this mark actually matter if you're going for your entrance examination? Why should you be worried about this then?
Yes, ma'am. The entrance exams are going to be conducted, but also our marks also count sometimes, because some of the students, if they didn't crack the entrance exam, they go for other courses like BSc for what the board exam scores are required.
Yes, fine
For
enough.
that case,
Fine enough. Dr.
I don't
Sharma,
think so.
yes, there are reservations of students more than just why class 11th has been included in this evaluation formula. There are concerns particularly about when you change board. In class 10th, you may be from ICSE, you move to class 12th, and that is the CBSE board. How will that assessment be made?
See, first of all, I'll say that this is the best solution to the given problem. We could not have found a better solution, better formula than what has been proposed by CBSE. But obviously, as the number is too large, across the country, 1.5 crore students would be certified for class 12, 14.5 lakh students for CBSE. Now, the question is that 10th, they were studying general subjects. Let me take the example of an iOS. You can take 2 languages and then 3 subjects. You can take English, Sanskrit, data entry operation, even dancing and painting. Now, what do you do with these papers? You take the best of these and then make it average for the 12th, which is physics, chemistry, mathematics. How does it work? It doesn't work. This is like saying we will average your 7th marks for 12th. So there will be a problem. I don't know how will this be handled, because as the student is saying, they shift from board, they shift from subjects. They are now into streams, physics, science,
Yes.
arts, commerce.
Yes.
How would that be done?
Yes.
I think CBSE will have to give clarification.
Okay.
For second,
Okay.
see, you cannot implement things retrospectively. Students were not said that your 11th marks will come. I know for the obvious reason that pandemic came suddenly, but how can you catch them unawares? They were actually not serious for 11th. 11th class students are never serious about their 11th
That is
class
true.
because they
But
think
as
only 12th matters.
as you have been
And
saying,
those
this is a
who have
huge
an eye on
number.
engineering
You
colleges,
cannot
medical
make all
colleges,
students happy about it. This is perhaps this is the only formula that they could have come up with. Dr. Singh, do you think that this is the best formula? But the students, certainly two of them you have heard, we are being joined by more students in just a bit, and all of them almost seem to be asking same set of questions about be it the stream question or even change of board. How will the schools be going about this assessment, and how confident are you that your assessment will be fair enough for them to get that confidence that they have been evaluated rightly?
Well, thank you for putting this question to me. I am really surprised that how people are saying that this is a correct formula. Because let me tell you, when we are talking about 30%, 30% and 40%, are we also undermining this stuff that the boys or girls who were in class 10, their maturity level was same as what it is today? Were their skill sets the same? What was then and now? Have the 3 years not evolved these students? My question is, in class 10, whatever subjects they are saying best of 3, those subjects are not now in class 11 and 12 with that boy or a girl. That student is doing different subjects. How can we compare one set of subjects with the other subjects? My question is, another very dire situation has come in where you just mentioned that a boy or a girl moves from ISE to CBSE. Does that ICSE parameters of class 10 match with CBSE? My question is different. I'm a school who does IGCSE. IGCSE does not come out with percentage marks. They come with PUM, which are not, in fact, equivalent to the percentage. Now, these boys and girls who are doing IGCSE, how can their 10th class marks be taken? How will they decipher the percentage? This is a very serious situation. I think when we have a 2-year program, which is a different certification program,
Dr. Singh,
when we call 2
these are
years, 9 and
unprecedented
10.
times. Nobody was prepared for the pandemic. So, I understand that the students cannot be prepared for how things are, and then what is really the formula? This is a formula that has been, come to only after a board sat, they deliberated, and they thought that this is the only option perhaps they have. Dr. Singh, I'm going to come back to you because I think all your questions have to be answered by Dr. Sharma, who is of the opinion that this is the best formula. We also have now Navodaya. He is 12th board student of DPS in Delhi. Yes, go ahead, Navodaya. What are your concerns?
Yeah, so the point being is that I'm studying PCM, and a lot of PCM and PCB students are studying for JEE and NEET. In 11th grade, when all the students are actually crammed up with all the basics so that in 12th they can also concentrate on the boards and even the entrance exams, it is really hard for all the students to even concentrate on the 11th grade exams because the two different parameters are being taught. Something on a very highly advanced level is being taught and something on a very normal level is being asked. So that is a very different parameter, and there's a lot of criteria like illness. Suppose a person gets ill or something of that sort in 11th grade, and it has been seen statistically and for a lot of years in the past that the grade 11 students have dipped. So this is not one of the best ideas CBSE could ever come out with. 10th and 12th we have done good because a lot of students give their 100% in 10th and 12th. Me personally have given 10th 100% in my 10th. Moreover, a lot of students, majority of the students have given their board practical exams right now. So why not take that into consideration instead of 11th marks?
Let's make it student specific. Tell us about your case, your question.
So my question stands as that if somebody who is concentrating on JEE and NEET and is also actually studying is unable to cope up that much with 11th grade but has a bit of a dip in 11th grade but also has scored plus 90% in 10th and also has been scoring 85% and above in the 12th internal exams, how is it fair for that student who's getting a dip in 11th on his final marks in 12th that he has to show to probably a foreign universities or even Indian universities?
You know, Dr. Sharma, again, it's the question of class 11th. Not all students are serious in class 11th. They have other interests. And that reason, perhaps, maybe, Navodaya here is a classic example. 90% plus in class 10th, all internal assessments above 85%. He is worried because in 11th, he did not do that well.
See, I can clearly see Navodaya is writing NEET and he is aspiring to get into IIT. Now, schools are not about preparing students for NEET or engineering colleges. Schools have been struggling with the problem that all our science students only concentrate on competitive exams. That's not the mainstream. The mainstream has to be subjects of +2. And I can see this formula will please all the schools because now students will be serious about the schools. But the issue will be, what about those who don't write NEET, who don't get into these colleges, but they want to get into general colleges? And there the 12th result is very important. Okay. But the issue raised by another panelist was that how can the marks be equivalent? There is a moderation committee which is to be constituted, and very relevant teachers, principals from the school and neighboring school. It has been made very scientifically. A student raised the question that some teachers may not be fair and they would spike the marks. It cannot happen. The committee has been very meticulously constituted in this. So the 17-page report that is there.
You are essentially saying trust the judgment of those who have prepared this formula. We have another student now joining us as well on the show, and she is from Chennai, Pranati. Pranati, your concerns, we have heard a lot of questions there being raised by a number of students on the panel. What are you satisfied with this new formula that has been proposed? In fact, that has been decided finally.
Decided and accepted by
I can either say I'm happy or unhappy with the evaluation criteria given by the CBSE committee members. Okay. But it's one of the best evaluation criteria in this pandemic situation of cancellation of class 12 board exams. In my opinion, it's a well thought and well formulated. I think it's clearly articulated criteria of evaluation. And I want to emphasize here that none of the premium institute or any universities is expecting the class 12 board marks for admitting into the higher education. They have their own method of consideration of higher education. They have their own method of admission process, namely online entrance test. We have home proctored test. We have group discussions, micro presentations, group discussions. We have many things these universities are depending upon. And I would like to also inform you that many universities are asking for the self-predicted marks just to check your confidence level, how confident you are in the academics part. So that's what they are going to check out. And I have applied to those universities for self-predicted marks. I think you will not believe that the admission process for 2021 had started a very long back. In the last year, I think even in the month of November 2020, few universities in the countries had also closed the admission process for this year. And for those students who are applying to those institutions and for these premier institutions, will not and need not worry about these type of evaluation.
Okay, so the best thing about Pranati is that she has everything sorted out in her head, that this is the best that could come, and she has started the application process. Dr. Singh, I'm coming back to you because the students here are raising certain concerns and valid enough. I mean, they should be satisfied with the final marks that they get finally on 31st. The question is, do you think the universities also now, the central universities should put out their criteria for the admission, and that would perhaps assuage all the concerns that the students are raising?
Well, I must say that this is a very good question because now the buck is gone to the universities. Yes. And I always say that the universities are equal stakeholders in this. They have to also devise a method now how to induct the new children. But more than that, when the whole world is going for predicted grades, we are still going on historical data. I mean, my question again is, why are we referring historical data when the universities abroad are going for predicted grades? Why is there no element in this formula about the predicted grades? We are putting it on the university. University will come out with the common entrance exams, but they will also have a component of how much percentage they will give to this percentage of marks. But having said that, please understand, predicted grades are very important. Today, we need to have that speculation for a boy or a girl. They're already under stress. We have to now look after them. We just can't give them a historical data of which is no relevance.
Okay. So why go back in time? It should be about predicted. Dr. Sharma, quick word from you, and then I go back to all the students.
Look, I don't agree with Dr. Singh. We cannot go on predictive data. We have to be very vigilant. I would mention a word of caution for CBSE. There are going to be cases where you will have spiked marks from schools which are in the suburbs and they don't get students and they are struggling to get students. Their registration is low. Yes. They will spike marks. Good schools, reputed schools will give you very good marks. Their students will not get very good percentage. You will have a problem then. And colleges, very reputed colleges, will have problems deciding on the criteria, because a good student from a good school will get 85%, where a poor student from a suburban college will come with 99%.
I think the distinction has to be made also between the government schools. Yes, government schools with CBSE board and private schools with CBSE board. I think that is where the difference will be as well. Ritika, your thoughts? You heard from the two experts on the panel.
Yeah. Ma'am, first of all, I would like to correct Priya, because she said that the 11th standard score should not be considered. Ma'am, then CBSE has no other option to come up with a better solution. Because ma'am, now you'll see that there will be a bunch of students who will say that I didn't perform well in 10th, now please consider 11th, 12th. There will be some who will say that don't consider 11 because I performed good in 10th and 12th. But ma'am, now I'll talk about my personal results here now. Let's talk about this. Ma'am, my personal 11th results were not that great, but my 10th and 12th results were absolutely fine. But I cannot say that it's CBSE's fault that I was not serious. It's not CBSE's fault. CBSE never said that don't take the 11th grade seriously because you are a science student. You'll have to give NEET JEE. Anyways, NEET JEE entrance exams do consider the syllabus of 11th standard as well.
So here is so you want 10th and 12th. Priya wants 11th, included here. So they are different.
11th and 12th.
Yes, you want 11th and 12th. Yes, 10th is not fair. Priya, here are experts who are looking at what next, in the sense that should the colleges or central universities come out with their criteria, will that really, to a great extent calm you down regarding your results?
I believe the same pattern will be followed by the CBSE, because already our state minister had announced the evaluation criteria will be formed after the finalization of the CBSE criteria.
Okay, Pranati.
And that is even an itching point here, because if they are going to follow the CBSE's criteria for the state boards too, for the state boards, we already the 60% marks are being fixed here, because the 10th and 11th standard, for the both standards, we have written our board exams. So these two standards will be much more strict if when compared to CBSE. CBSE don't have 11th their board exams, but state board, especially in Tamil Nadu state board, we have board exams in 11th too. So there will not be any leniency in 11th too. So when it comes to the state board part, already our 60% marks are being fixed. Only the leverage is they are going to give us only the 12th boards. That is, they are going to take the unit exams and all the pre-boards what we are going to written or what we have already been written. So that's the only point that want to note this assessment criteria.
So does this give a level playing field according to you, Navodaya?
So probably 10th and 12th should be considered, because academics are very well considered for all central colleges examination, because they very well some colleges really have their own entrance test. Like OP General School has their own JSAT, and then we have BITSAT for others. So they have their own tests as well, but nothing is standardized there. So we will see discrepancies there, that a person would get more hand. But let's also not forget that the teaching also in some places decreases, because in 11th they are just trained and focused to go into to JEE or NEET. So there, when like a student like me who is not preparing for JEE but is in a class or is in a stream where JEE is being taught in a really hardcore fashion, it is habitual that some parts of CBSE may lack out. So where they would, the 11th graders may fall behind. But let's also see that in 10th and 12th, during the pandemic, students are able to cope up because they are having school times and then different JEE times. So in the school times, only CBSE is being taught, where students are able to cope up. And let's also not forget the efforts that students have put in 10th and 12th. They have put in extra efforts. A lot of students just put in efforts in 10th and 12th so that they get good marks. In 11th, they may have various reasons that may affect it. So probably 10th and 12th should be considered with the standardized tests that are always there.
Okay. So class 10th and 12th is the best formula, not the 30% weightage that is being given to class 11th. Dr. Singh, I'll give you the final words.
Well, I look at it from the other point of view. A boy is appearing for class 12 examination. Something happens and he is not able to take an exam. Larger portion of his percentage, 60%, goes to the other years where he was preparing completely for that year. And there he's left with only 40%. And what about, I'll ask Navodaya, what about those boys who have not done CBSE in the parallel courses? I mean, are we going to compare apple with an orange? It's not going to be possible with that way. We have to keep in consideration with the class 11 and 12, if ever we have to go with the historical data. Otherwise, I think a predicted grade had to be put in as a component of the, coming to the percentage.
Okay, so you're going back to the argument that you were putting forth. Dr. Sharma?
Thank you very much. I have 2 points to make. We must consider at this point of time, why are we in such a situation? We don't have a professional body for schooling which decides on such policies beforehand. Yeah. We start thinking of it when we are into the problem. CBSE, mind you, is not a professional academic pedagogic body. It's an assessment board like NIOS. So it is not really qualified to give a judgment on such things. Look at the committee, 13-member committee. They were just
Sharma,
3 academics.
Exactly, I have 10 seconds for you.
10 bureaucrats. Second, what I will say is, look, the 12th mark you are going to consider will be of different standards. CBSE board exam is on one standard. The question setters for a school in Delhi or very good at school will know what is a blueprint. But a teacher who is setting the questions in the suburb schools in less
so there are a lot of questions
they don't know
that
the
we
quality of
need
question
an
will be
answer
very
of.
different.
So far, only the formula has been announced. In fact, a detailed notification has been put out now by the CBSE, where they have tried to answer most of these questions, and that will ensure that the students can be perhaps relatively relaxed about the final results on 31st of July. I would like to thank all the students and Dr. Sharma and Dr. Singh for all the questions and answers that the students have on their minds. That's all from me. Thanks so much for watching.